Sack Life Beat Depression. It's day 819 and we're back on the scene, wiping out depression without discretion. Thanks so much, everybody, for being here now. Anyone who's tuning in later, as you know, it's a martial arts for mental health show, focusing in on those mental health tools first. We can all help each other by sharing those tools that work for us. One of the really powerful ones that we like to start every single show with, and you can start your day with, is that powerful mental health tool of gratitude. Gratitude going out today to the first ones in. Smash Walks, thanks for being here. Luca, thank you so much for being here. And also gratitude going out to everyone who's been supporting the cause. Gratitude going out to Century Martial Arts for sending me a Bob to improve my skills and boost up my technical side. He's really come in handy and at helping me with my technical sparring and preparing for a sparring situation when I get into the gym. So if you got a Bob out there, it's good stuff. If you're thinking about getting a Bob, good stuff. If you want to get the most physical release, the most stress and anxiety out, I would recommend a heavy bag, something around the 80-pound range if you're of average height and weight, because then you can really lay into it some power shots and get that feedback, right? That builds you up, that gives you that release, that loosens the muscles, and it's good for so many different things. When you throw really heavy power shots on Bob, he moves, he can get damaged, he loses his guts, basically. So Bob is great for technical sparring, and heavy bag is great for just really unloading, really hard, heavy power shots out there. So find those tools that work for you. But I am grateful today for both Bob, for the mini bag to get me into a flow state, for the heavy bag to get that somatic healing, that physical release of stress and anxiety. I'm grateful to everybody who's been supporting the cause, businesses, people out there, everyone who's been showing up and supporting one another. Grateful to all of you. So go ahead and think about your piece of gratitude for today. That'll help put you in that positive mindset as we move into the lesson. Second mental health tool is progress track, and keeping track of the number of days that show up for you and accomplish your daily goal. Some people use this list tracking tool on keeping track of the number of days they make their bed, and that works. That is something that you can use it for. You can use that list tool for that. But if you want to make it even more effective in the fight forward for better mental health, give yourself a daily goal you can accomplish that builds you up mentally and physically. It could be this show, it could be a martial arts class, it could be heavy bag time, it could be 5 minutes of quality time with Bob, it could be 2 minutes of quality time on the speed bag. It's up to you to give yourself that daily goal that you can accomplish, that won't feel like you have to work really hard to make it happen. That's why when I started with 5 to 10 minutes of training, and I was working a job, I was working at 2 businesses, I was partying every night, I was barely sleeping, but I still got the 5 minutes in of daily self-care, and just having that goal accomplished every single day completely changed my mindset, completely took me out of that victim mentality and put me into a victor mentality. As an example, if you can relate to this, I used to wake up feeling like there's not enough time in the day to do everything. There's way too many things to get done, and it was really frustrating. And now I wake up, there's not enough time to get everything done in a day. There's way too many things to get done, but I crush my daily goal every single day, even though there's way too many things to get done, even though there's not enough time in the day, right? So my circumstance hasn't changed. My environment has changed. But those small things, those few things that maybe you can relate to, they haven't changed. Life didn't get any easier. I got stronger, and this number is a proof that you can get stronger too, even in that situation, and you can take yourself out of that victim mindset where you feel like you're getting beat up by these things and flip the script on it. Put yourself into a victorious mindset where even though there's not enough time, even though I'm not going to finish everything today, I'm going to crush that daily goal. Why? Because I've got 819 days of proof that I can and that I will. And I'll do it tomorrow again. If the only thing I do when I wake up today is my daily self-care routine, 5 to 10 minutes, then I crush that day. I crush that goal in the face of any opposition. And you can do that too for you. Just keep on going. Make the process the goal, right? That daily goal accomplishment. Make it small. Make it something you can do. It can be a part of your schedule. Think about how many times you've lost your keys or your glasses and you're looking for them. For if you wear glasses and you're looking for them for 5 to 10 minutes. You could spend those 5 to 10 minutes doing something that will literally change the rest of your life. It's all about consistency, showing up for you, giving yourself that challenge. It can be a small challenge, an accomplishable one, something that builds you up mentally and physically, and then keeping track of it. So please do keep track of that number. Let yourself know how strong and capable you are, how powerful you are, how much endurance you have, and then share it. Share it with the world because it helps inspire other people to do the same. It's been 819 days of constant goal accomplishment for me through sickness and health. And Lisa shared her days, 519 days for Lisa of constant goal accomplishment through thick and thin, through whatever Lisa has been going through for the last 519 days. I'm sure it's not easy. For whatever I've been going through for the last 819 days has not been easy. It's been hell at times. There's been terrible times. Family crises, constant stress and changing situations, riots in the streets, pandemics, things closed, stranded in the desert. But we crushed our goal no matter what. We showed up for ourselves, and that is what matters. Show up for yourself first, and that way you can inspire others to do the same. Thank you for sharing your number, Lisa. Shout out as well to Aglamella and Alpha Shazrek. I think I got it. Thank you guys and girls so much for supporting the cause. All right, that being said, we talked about our 2 main mental health tools we start every single show with. Let's talk about today's lesson. We're going to pick up kind of where we left off, kind of continue yesterday's session. Still 3 rounds, 3 minutes each, 1 minute breaks in between to catch your breath and drink some water. We're going to be working defense, checking those roundhouse kicks, right? Boom, checking those kicks, and then firing back with our own roundhouse kick, boom, from the same side. So we'll be checking incoming attacks, and then quick switch, whoos, and tossing our own roundhouse back in the face of that depression dummy. Now, if you don't have the room to throw a full 360 roundhouse, you can still move, go through the motions, right? Check that kick, get your feet in the proper position, and then toss that roundhouse. Focus on rolling the hip, right? Boom, 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 and working on that form. Go nice and slow so that you don't throw your body weight around, so you don't have to rotate all the way around if you're tight on space. And if you're even tighter on space, let's say you're practicing in an office cubicle and there's things all around you don't want to knock them over. You can check that kick and then simulate the roundhouse by bringing the knee up and turning the hip. So all the same movements, but don't extend the leg. Keep the leg bent. This gives you a easier, more adaptability to your environment. Remember, you always got to show up for you and take into consideration your surroundings, your environment, your health, your diet. Did you get enough sleep last night? Did you party hard? All those things are going to affect your performance today. So I want to set a reasonable expectation, including what we can do physically, right? If we can't toss that leg out there, just toss the knee, right? Just toss the knee. Works the same way. We're still using all those tools. So adapt, keep going forwards, find that way forwards, and let's talk about the lesson a little bit. To keep it mental health focused and mental health based, we want to visualize that opponent. If you've got a Bob, you can assign Bob the name depression dummy or anxiety dummy. And when you're punching his face, you can visualize knocking those lies out of that depression tries to sell us. Lies like we can't, right? We can't get up. Our body's too heavy to move. We don't deserve to do this. We don't deserve to do that. Those are the types of lies that serotonin imbalance will create in your mind. Your brain will spit them out on autopilot. We can prove those things to be lies by daily showing up and putting in just a little bit of work. Prove depression a liar. Prove anxiety a liar. And show yourself what you're capable of. Assign that name to Bob. Assign that name to that visualized target. Because by consciously acknowledging what you're doing every day that you fight forwards, you can reinforce that truth in your mind and body. So you can make a fact more powerful. The fact is, if you're up fighting forwards, you are beating that debilitating effect of depression. You're not debilitated, right? As a matter of fact. So if we consciously acknowledge it, we can reinforce that truth and become more and more powerful each and every day. So visualize that opponent, assign them the word of the thing you want to work on. We're going to get into today's lesson. We'll start with fundamentals, a little bit of jab and cross, moving back and forth. And then, like I said before, we're going to get into those checks and roundhouses. I'm going to show you how to make those roundhouses more powerful. And if you've got a bob or a heavy bag, you can use them to enhance your experience as well. Use what you can. All right, that's enough intro. Let's get into it. Let's get this thing started. Fighting spirit of the 80s. Fuel us. Fuel our progress. Boom. Let's go. All right. Should be good. And that'll be today. Hopefully that's not too loud. It's coming in loud and clear. Alright, square up with your visualized target. Pop into your Muay Thai stance. We're going to work on offense and defense today with those kicks like I mentioned before. And I'll give you some tips to improve power in those kicks. So stay tuned for that. Let's do it. Make sure you've got water. You're drinking tons of water. Staying hydrated out there and checking in on comments. Whoa, before we get into it. Alpha, let's pause this for a second because I just want to read. That looks like a really good comment there. Boom. If this happens live, that's totally fine. Alpha shared, I was 294 pounds when I began kickboxing to fight my depression. After over a year, I've lost 98 pounds, eating clean, and punching out my anxiety and self-sabotage. I'm stronger than ever. Well done. Well done. Thank you so much for sharing that. We're going to get back into the lesson in a second, but thank you so much for sharing your personal experience because that's the best way that we can help others. So thank you for that, Alpha. Let's get back on track so I don't get emotional. Shout out to my mom. Thanks, Mom, for tuning in. Carol Paradox and Reed Rickman. Appreciate your support out there. Let's get this thing going. Let's get back on track here. Woo! All right. Visualize. Wow. Why did you do that to me live? Visualize that opponent. Let's go. Focus on that visualized target. Let's pop into Muay Thai position. We're going to start that timer now. Make sure you're breathing in the nose, out the mouth. And we're going to start with those fundamentals. Small step forwards into the jab cross. Back to stance. Remember to rotate, right? Rotate the hips and shoulders. Small step forwards for the jab. Rotate on the ball of that back foot for the cross. And back to stance. Chin tucked for balance. Visualize that depression, dummy. Let's knock those lies out. Bam, bam. And remember, we're getting stronger every day. We keep moving forwards. Let's go. Exhale on those strikes. Keep it tight. Visualize that opponent. Make contact with those large two knuckles. And keep that movement going. Let's go. Visualize it. Exhale through those strikes. Guard stays high. Pop, pop. Bring those fists back to the head to defend after each strike. Keep those fists going. Let's go. Hips open in proper Muay Thai stance. And now we're going to start blocking some incoming roundhouse kicks. So that rear roundhouse, it's got that big signal, right? We're prepared. We're ready for it. We're going to bring the knee up to the inside of the elbow. Boom. Guard stays high. Try to keep the torso upright. Chin tucked. We're taking the hit. We're blocking the hit with the large part of the knee, large part of the shin. Angling it towards that incoming leg to do more damage to them than they do to us. As soon as that foot goes down, we want to fire back with our own kick on the same side before they regain balance. So we can toss right from there, right? Boom. Toss right from there, a quick lead roundhouse to counter theirs. Let's practice it again. Incoming rear roundhouse, block it with the shin, step down, toss that lead roundhouse. Now that's one quick way to counter because there's less foot movement there. So knee comes up, block, boom. You're going to want to shift that weight back and let your heel come off the ground on that rear foot, right, when we're tossing the counter round. So incoming round, blocked, put the foot down, let that heel stay loose and shift the weight back, turning through the body to toss a lead counter round. Now let's talk about making that counter round more powerful, right? To do that, we're going to do the same thing. Visualize that incoming attack. Block it with the check. Now, instead of stepping back into our orthodox stance, I want you to give your feet a quick switch. Before this one goes down, hop and switch. Boom. Now we're in southpaw stance, and that leg is loaded, right? In the same amount of steps as it took to fire that lead, we're going to fire what is now a rear roundhouse kick. So go ahead and turn through the hips, chop that hand, whoosh, and toss that rear roundhouse kick right through your opponent. Back to stance. Incoming roundhouse. Check it. Swap the feet. Toss that rear roundhouse right through that opponent. Remember to turn the hips and pivot on that rear foot. Jab cross. Whoosh, whoosh. Check the kick. Boom. Swap into southpaw. Toss that roundhouse through the body of your opponent, and that's the end of round one. Catch your breath. Drink some water. Check in on you. We're going to talk about different ways to make that more powerful, and we're going to talk about checking and returning from the opposite side as well. Woo! All right, 36 seconds. Stay limber, stay loose. If you need to, shake those arms out. If you got a Bob at home, you can use all these techniques on Bob as well. He's great for technical placing those kicks, right? Really have an accurate target to simulate what you would do in a self-defense or a sparring situation. If you got a sparring partner out there, you can practice these drills together. When you're checking, they're throwing the round. When they're checking, you're throwing the round, right? You can go back and forth, turn it into a partner drill very easily. Make sure you wear proper gear, shin guards, protect yourself, and try not to hurt your partner if you are doing that. All right, back into it, round 2. Square up in balanced Muay Thai stance. Get your march going. Get that weight shifting from the front foot to the back foot, keeping the hips open, feet angled slightly out from each other. And we're gonna check that rear roundhouse kick. Check that incoming rear round. Boom, swap the feet on the way down, right? Check the kick, swap the feet. When we swap the feet, turn that front foot out. Really open up the hip, place on the weight on the ball of that foot, and turn that front foot out. That way it's a nice, you've anchored that pivot point in there. Reach across the face of your opponent, and then chop this hand in the opposite direction as you turn that hip over, and follow through. Boom, back to stance. Now you can fire back to the body, you can fire back to the leg, you can fire back to the head. Whatever you do, you want to do it fast before they have a chance to rebalance and re-guard. Let's practice it again. Lead leg comes up to block that incoming rear round. Boom. We switch stance as that foot goes down, opening up the lead hip, and then chop through that opponent and back to stance. Guard high. Let's practice it a little more. Check the lead kick, switch the stance, toss, boom, toss it through and back to fighting position. Keep it moving. Hit him with the jab cross. Whoos, whoos. Jab cross. Whoos, whoos. Check that rear kick. Boom. Swap the feet, opening up the hip, right? Stepping off the line. And then chop and bring that foot around. Back to stance. Guard high. Switch it back to orthodox position. And we're going to start blocking the opposite kick. So if they're throwing a lead kick, boom, right? We're going to block with the opposite leg if we're in a balanced stance. Balanced center stance, lead roundhouse coming in, block with that opposite knee, step back, fire, boom, your rear roundhouse kick, just like normal. One more time, lead roundhouse kick is coming in, block that lead with the rear leg, step it back, open up that hip, again, more power. If you open up the hip and step off the line, reach across the head, toss all the way through, back to stance, guard high, keep it tight. Let's practice a little bit with Bob for an extra release. Guard high, we're gonna block that incoming rear kick, right? He's tossing a rear roundhouse. Block that rear roundhouse, swap the feet, push, drive through the hip, turn that hip over, and pivot on that front foot, right? Push, boom, nice and powerful. Let's swap it to the rear kick. He's tossing a lead round towards me. We're gonna check that lead round with the rear leg. As soon as the rear leg goes down, open up that hip, and chop, turning through the hip for a nice powerful counter. Back to stance, you can do this with or without Bob. Guard high, check that incoming rear kick, boom, swap feet, counter. And that's the end of round 2. Catch your breath, drink some water. We'll pick up in round 3 and keep that lesson going. Hopefully you're finding ways here to improve, ways to grow. That's one of the most beautiful parts about martial arts, is that you can continue to grow for your entire life. You can master 1 or 2 techniques, and then there's a whole world out there, a whole universe for you to continue to learn and learn from each other. That's one of the cool things about meeting other martial artists too. Maybe I meet someone named Bob who's mastered the headbutt, and I've never even practiced the headbutt. Or maybe I meet someone who's mastered a lead low roundhouse kick, and my lead low roundhouse kick isn't that strong. We can share each other's strengths and improve each other's weaknesses, and then we can both grow together and become better martial artists in the process. So, find your support group wherever it is. Martial arts community generally attracts growth-based mindset people, but it's a guideline, right? It's not a fact, not necessarily the case, but most of the time you'll find a good set of growth-based people out there to support you. Alright, back to stance, square up, balanced Muay Thai position. We're going to block that rear roundhouse kick with our lead leg. We're gonna swap the feet, opening up the hip for the counter, and then toss right on through, back to stance, square up. We're gonna block the lead incoming roundhouse. When the lead incoming roundhouse kick is coming towards us, we use the rear leg to block that lead, and then step back, open up that hip, bam, toss that rear roundhouse kick back through. And you can pick your level. Go for the leg, go for the calf, go for the hammies or the quads, go for the bike, go for the head. Lots of options there. Place it where you like, place it where you're comfortable. Back to stance, block that lead round. Ooh, block that rear round with your lead leg. Swap the feet, opening up. Whoosh. Turn through the hip and back to stance. Guard high. Block the lead incoming kick with our rear leg. Step back into position. Woof. Open up that hip and toss that roundhouse counter. Back into stance. Guard high. Block that incoming rear roundhouse with the lead leg. Swap those feet as you prepare to counter. Open up the hips, right? And toss through. Back to stance. Switch it back to orthodox. Square up. Hit it with the 1-2. 1-2. Whoos, whoos. 1-2. Whoos, whoos. And block that rear incoming roundhouse kick. Lead leg. Swap them. Fire back. And back to stance. Block that lead incoming roundhouse with the rear leg. Once that rear leg hits the ground, fire back with that lead leg open. Boom, fire back right through. Make sure you turn those hips over. If you're working with Bob, same thing. Block that rear round, swap the feet, fire back. Block that lead round, boom. You don't have to swap the feet, but make sure you open up the hip. Step that front foot off the line for more power, and push. Turn through the hip to deliver that devastating reply to his attack. And keep it going, get smoother with it. Practice makes progress. Progress is success, so keep it going. Step forwards for the 1-2. Whoosh, whoosh. Back to stance. Block that rear round. Fire back. Boom. Block the lead round. Boom. Fire back. Square up. Keep the guard high at all times. Block the rear round. Boom. Swap the feet. Fire back. Block the lead round. Boom. Step back. Whoosh. Fire back. Stance stays nice and tight, nice and balanced. Block the rear round, boom, fire back with a switch. Block the lead round, boom, fire back, push. Back to stance, and that's the end of round 3 of progress and success. Hopefully, you found room to grow, and you're continuing to grow out there and push yourself forwards. Remember, we can't grow in that comfort zone, so give yourself that challenge. Pick up your challenge with Bob. Pick up your challenge with gear. Put some leg shin guards on or gloves on. That'll drive up the intensity of the workout. If you're not getting a challenge, make sure you're challenging yourself. It's the only way we can grow together out here. We can grow through what we go through, but we gotta go through it, right? We gotta go through it to grow through it. So keep on going, keep on growing. And shout out to everyone who's been supportive, so supportive. Thank you so much for sharing in my self-care routine and sharing mental health tools for free with others, sharing motivation and inspiration with others. You can do a lot simply by being public about it. Let's break this stigma so we can get the help that we need, right? We can realize we're not alone. We're human, and we deal with these things on a human scale all across the globe. If we talk about it, we can help each other get through it. So thank you guys so much for doing that, for being part of that change. Shout out to Vinicius. Appreciate you all the way from Brazil. Appreciate you, brother. Shout out to Slayer Ken and Alpha. Thank you again for sharing that personal experience as well. Thank you so much. Until next time, catch you guys. Same sack time, same sack channel, same sack life. Sack man out. Woo!